our issues, our voices, our views. This is Politics in Black. What's happening, family?
We've been away too long.
Gotta wake it up in here. Gotta wake y'all up out there.
Chad is on fire.
You tuned in to the right place. We are back and we are live on Politics in Black. Once again, just past Juneteenth, but we're gonna get there. Once again, this show is brought to you by the National Assembly of American Slavery Descendants in Los Angeles, aka NAASD-LA. If it's your first time here, I'm only half of the hosting team. My name's Chad Brown. Sitting next to me, you know her, you love her. She is your champion. Friday Jones. Friday, say what's up.
What's up? Look, I got some housekeeping I need to do.
Go ahead.
I do the housekeeping?
Go ahead. Clean the house.
First of all, happy after Juneteenth to all of our viewers and the folks who follow us. We had a great time. We'll share some of that at the end of the show. But today is my oldest, my only, my favorite son. This is my son's birthday. I wanna shout out the young man, Kali Eric Vaughn.
Yes.
Let me get his
Happy
pronunciation
birthday, young
right.
Man. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. And the family has also suffered a loss. So this is kind of a full circle moment.
Okay.
But for those of you online who follow Nobly Rogue,
That's right.
Nobly Rogue passed away last night. And I just want to recognize her. She's someone who, at the beginning of the movement, we definitely worked with. If you ever were wondering about the graphics that came out very early on, tracking the signers to HR 40 back in 2019, Nobly had created some wonderful graphics to help us keep up with who was coming on, when these Congress people were coming on, who the Black Congress members were, and who members of the Black Caucus who did not sign on. So she really, very early on in this work, made her contribution to the reparations movement. And I just want to take a moment of silence to just remember Nobly Rogue. All right.
Hey, thank you for doing that. It's important that we recognize the people who have contributed to get us to where we are today. And so let's talk about that, where we are today, because we are in June, and next week we have a momentous occasion.
The final. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be there. I'm so upset. It's on a work day.
You're gonna be missed. I'm gonna see if I can be in the house. I don't know yet, but I'll see if I'll be there. But June 29th, fam, if you did not know, if you've been living under a rock somewhere, June 29th, next week, is the final meeting of the AB 3121 California Reparations Task Force, where they will release their final plan for California reparations for African Americans.
And let's keep it right. It's a summary, because I heard the recommendations are over 1,000 pages.
Absolutely. No, they've done some work.
Yeah, they have.
Absolutely. And the grassroots organizations have contributed to that work greatly. So, shout out to CJEC, Coalition for a Just and Equitable California.
The forefront. They did 1 million town halls letting the people know what was going on.
Standing in the gap and putting in that work and pushing this thing forward. And I think that's a great segue into our first guest, who is one of the lead organizers of CJEC. He's everywhere. I saw him on Tavis Smiley. The brother was on Fox. I think he's been on NBC News. I don't know, man. CNN. So he's been all over the place, but he's been spreading the word of reparations and just pounding that boot leather. And the brother is an inspiration to all of us if you are in this movement or if you are just watching. So coming first to Politics in Black, he's a friend. This is my brother. He is a brother to all of us. Come on in here, Chris Lodgson.
The organizer's organizer.
The organizer's organizer. What's going on, brother? It's so good to see you again.
What's up? It's so good to see y'all. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Shout out to Chad, you, Friday, of course, the whole family, PIB, the whole NAASD-LA family, the whole NAASD family, of course, too, nationally. Big shout out to everybody that's listening, watching, that's going to listen, that's going to watch. And also, happy birthday to Khalid, and rest in peace to Nobly Rogue, for sure.
Absolutely, brother. No, and you know, you have been around since the very beginning. I don't remember a reparations movement, a modern reparations movement without Chris Lotz.
Chris was like my right hand from day one.
Yeah. So you know the road, the path that we have taken over the past, 4 years now to get to this point where we are on the precipice of having an actual plan for reparations here in the state of California. So, brother, I just want to hear your perspective and let you reflect first off as we know what's happening this June 29th, Thursday in Sacramento. So just open it up, Chris. I want to hear from you, brother. What are you thinking? What's on your mind?
You know, I think for me first is just to reflect on the journey to this point first. I think that's important. I think everybody listening right now, everybody watching right now should just reflect on what we did to get here, thinking back to, you know, late 2018, early 2019, when people were talking about reparations online, and then into the spring and the summer of 2019, when some state legislators here in California, then of course, Assembly Member Dr. Shirley Weber, now Secretary of State, California Secretary of State Shirley Weber, introduced and was co-authors on reparations resolutions in early to mid 2019, and starting to hold our own community meetings and community town halls, and just starting to community organize ourselves and educate ourselves as just regular Black folks back in 2019, and then to be a part of what would become AB 3121, which is still the country's first ever state reparations task force bill that became the country's first ever state reparations task force law. So just to reflect on the journey from then till now, to be at a place where the task force for reparations in California actually became a real thing, and then worked for 2 years, and is now going to release their recommendations and their plan for reparations here in California next week on Thursday, June 29th, here in Sacramento from 9 a.m. to about 11:30 a.m. as well. This is just something that, you know, I'm just sort of taking all in, because it is a lot, and we worked hard, and, you know, the road is never straight. It's never going in one direction. Sometimes you go a little bit to the left, sometimes you go a little bit to the right, but you're always trying to go into the goal. And just want to thank everybody for everything that they contributed. Yourself, Chad, Friday, of course, again, everybody that works with you all in LA, and everybody that works across the state with us, and everybody that works and supported this work across the country.
Thank you. We were definitely the topic of conversation. I think Twitter was set on fire with a bunch of rooms assessing every move that California made. One of the things I heard Tavis ask you was about the role of the governor. We all saw the report or the news. I don't know. I felt like it was a bit of misinformation, but we all saw the headline. Everyone paid attention to the headline without reading the article, but the headline read that Governor Newsom did not support cash reparations, and obviously his communications office came out swinging, saying, hey, that's not what we said. And they cleaned it up. But, you know, this governor is in a real pivotal role. And so could you talk just a little bit about the role that you see the governor playing now that we're to this part of the legislative part, right? We thought this was the hard work, but the hard work almost seems like it's just beginning.
Just beginning.
Yeah. And, you know, I think I said on Tavis as well. By the way, shout out to Tavis and the whole KBLA
Shout
family.
out Tavis.
Shout out to them over there. I said on Tavis, and I've said this to the team a few times, that we've already made history, but what we have to do next is going to make what we already did look easy, because we actually have to get reparations now. And what is involved with that is having the support of not just the state Senate and the state assembly, which the state reparations task force will present recommendations on reparations to next week. But those reparations recommendations will next week also be presented to the governor. And just for the basic political education, y'all know we do a lot of political education at CJEC, Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. That path, that road to reparations leads to the governor, leads through the governor too. And so the governor will be involved in the success of reparations legislation. Either he will sign a reparations bill, or he will decide not to sign a reparations bill. And that part of his role is going to be important. And I think that he can play a very constructive role. I think he can play a very powerful and important role and a very positive role if he so chooses to. And ultimately, I think he and his team will decide to take and be a part of a positive and constructive role. Ultimately, that's what I think will happen. Obviously, the recommendations aren't on his desk yet. I think him and his team are rightly waiting for the reparations recommendations to get to his desk. Rightly, I think they're going to want to wait until there's a bill. But I think short of that, I think what the governor can do is provide a constructive and positive role, both behind the scenes and also publicly too. Mm-hmm. And he can do that in a number of ways. But as you just rightly said, the road to reparations, at least one of them, does lead through the governor too.
Absolutely. And we know this is a governor that has presidential aspirations, as I heard Tavis say. And so I like to, because, I try to connect California to the federal government. And I'd like to get your thoughts, Chris, on, once we get legislation moving here, because we will be in an election year. 2024, we will be in an election.
We're already in it.
Yeah,
Candidates are announcing left and right.
We're already in a cycle. So we will potentially have reparations legislation moving in California in a election cycle, 2024 presidential election cycle. I want to get your thoughts on what do you foresee? How do you see that environment, and what do you see us attempting to accomplish?
Yeah, so I'll take that last part first, and then I'll circle back to the first part of it. One of our objectives here at CJEC is to ensure that a strong reparations bill is introduced and signed into law next year in 2024. So that's the objective. That's the goal. And as you rightly mentioned, to your first part, it is an election year. So I think we'll have some very natural advantages and some very natural opportunities to use and leverage and take advantage of the fact that candidates are going to be wanting our vote. And I think I heard somebody say it at the Oakland hearing, or maybe even before that too. Actually, folks have been saying this for years now. They've been saying the slogan, no reparations, no vote. And I like that, because really it's about putting pressure and telling our electeds that if you want my support next year for you getting the job to represent me, then you have to support what I want. And that is reparations in California. And it's obviously going to be a national election year. The entire House of Representatives is up for election, 1/3 of the Senate. Obviously, it's a presidential year too for elections, but it's also an election year for the state assembly and the state Senate here in California too. And so if you want, and as a matter of fact, there are, we were, doing some work at some of the political conventions a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we were.
And there were candidates, right? And there were candidates for governor of California at those conventions. And we had some conversations with those folks too, and talked and put reparations on their hearts and their minds too. So I think the point is that candidates in 2024 should know that if you want to get our vote here in the state of California at the state level, whether it's state assembly, state Senate, governor, then you need to support reparations in California. That's what they should know. And we're going to be most likely beating that drum very, very loud.
Yeah, I love that.
And I just want to say, I have to put this out here. Cam Howard, who was the former male president of NCOBRA, wrote a pamphlet that was published in 2019 called Laying the Foundation for Local Reparations. And it's a guide for providing national symmetry for local reparations efforts. And I think his idea, and the idea that NCOBRA had, was that if municipalities did reparations, then it would somehow push the federal government. I am of the mind that if California does it right, that is sufficient, right? We don't need a bunch of municipalities all across the North, South, East, Midwest, trying to do all these efforts, because it is the federal government who has the largest purse, right? Yep. And so if you could just talk about a little bit of the pivot, because New York, you and I work kind of behind the scenes on some of the New York team with U.S. Freedmen Project. Shout out to the U.S. Freedmen Project.
Shout out.
Member Nikki Lugas in the state assembly, and New York kind of became this battleground between the idea of lineage-based reparations, and they want to say harms-based reparations, but I don't know how you separate the lineage from the harm.
Who else was harmed, right?
Well, because we got multiple generations after generations of harm. Yeah. But can you just talk about, this idea of local and what you think the correct pivot should be once California kind of has it digested?
Yeah. No, that's a great set of points, and obviously a great question, because I take the position that the more pressure that the local governments and the state governments can provide to the federal government to do reparations, the better. And the more momentum that the states and local governments, et cetera, create, the more momentum that we see on the federal and national government. I think we see some evidence of that actually happening now. And that was always the one side of the coin, because the other side of the coin is the tremendous risk, right? Where you have, and this is partly why in the legislation AB 3121 here in California, we had written into that last paragraph or so, or something like the last paragraph, something saying that California, and I'm paraphrasing here, but California's reparations is not a substitute for what the national government should and must do. And even the state reparations task force here in California, as you both rightly know, are recommending as a part of their reparations recommendations that the federal government, national government, enact a national and federal reparations program. So the other side to that coin is that there is risk because you don't want to give anyone at the national level any thought or any way to put this idea and initiative of reparations just on the states, just on the local governments, and not take any action at the federal level. So there was always those two sides to that coin. I've erred on the side of wanting to manage and balance those risks, because I think there's tremendous return and opportunity on the one side, and I think obviously managing the risk on the other side is critically important too. Yeah. So I think we've seen some evidence so far that folks at the national level have been able to use what California is doing and what other places are doing as a way to, one, raise the topic and idea of reparations at the national level in a serious way, and then also be able to talk about what the national and federal government should do when California does what we are going to do next year, which is to enact the nation's first ever state reparations bill. So that's I think the first piece. I think the other piece is, as it relates to the work in New York, we've known, I think in New York has had for like the past 3 or 4 years, some sort of something called reparations legislation or a reparations task force or commission legislation in their state legislature, for the past 2 or 3 years. This is the first year that it's actually become at least passed, right, by both state houses. And so rightly so.
Let me put some numbers on that. Yeah. So what has moved forward was A769, but U.S. Freedmen Project really hit the governor, had people calling the governor saying, hey, this is not the bill we want. Yeah. Nikki Lucas's bill just was assigned a number, and that's Alpha Omega, so AO 7828. That is the American Freedmen bill. That's the lineage bill that, has some lessons learned from California to make the New York bill even stronger than what the California bill was. So with that, I just want to put those numbers out there because I want people to know what we're talking about.
Know what we're tracking.
Thank you. They're very, 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 very helpful for that. And again, shout out to as you said, shout out to the U.S. Freedmen Project. Shout out to the whole family in New York. Me and you, Friday, we are from New York originally.
Born and raised. So, Brooklyn all day.
Brooklyn, Harlem, Manhattan, all that. So we got a special connection there. But we, this battle over what is the right state model, what is the right local model, what is the right national model, I think is rightly being fought and contested across the country. California was one big battle for that. New York is sort of the next big battle for that. There'll be other battles too. I think this is potentially really, really healthy, to be honest with you, because we want to do this right. And we have to settle a lot of these questions. And some of these battles are going to help us settle a lot of these questions. And I think it'll be instructive for the national and federal government too, to have these kinds of questions about who should be the target of reparations. Obviously, we've taken the position since day one that this is specifically for those of us who are descendants of those who were enslaved in the United States, right? The American freedmen. This has been the group of folks that we have talked about since day one in a number of different ways and of sort of describing that group of people. But this is the group that we are fighting for. And other groups and other folks have different ideas about who this should be for. And they're fighting for what they think is right. And we're fighting for what we think is right. And we're ultimately going to win. But I think it's good to have this fight, because this will be instructive for ultimately, as your question was sort of focused on, what is the sort of national responsibility. And I think this will be helpful and instructive for the national reparations effort, which I think is coming soon.
I love that.
I agree.
So Chris, I know you just got, question. I know you only got a few minutes here. So we like, CJEC, NAASD, here at Politics in Black, we like calls to action. So June 29th is next week. Yeah. I want you to give a call to action, not only to those of us in California, but those of us nationwide for June 29th and beyond.
Yeah. So first thing I want to say to folks to do leading up to June 29th is to go to our website, cjec-official.org, sign up for our free California monthly newsletter, and sign up for our free text message our free text message updates. I think the idea here is that there's going to be so much, and is already, but even more, misinformation and on purpose misinformation, what we call disinformation, coming at you, coming at me over the next 6 to 8 months to kill this effort. That really one of the best things folks can do right now is to find and connect to current and accurate California reparations information. And the number one source for that is CJEC, Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. So do that. But secondly, to your point, June 29th, Thursday, June 29th, be there. Be
Show
there
up,
in person.
Fam.
Be there in person in Sacramento, starting at 9:30 a.m., 1500 11th Street, 95814, at the California Secretary of State Building, first floor auditorium. Be there in person. If for some reason you can't be there in person, be there virtually as well. There's a virtual option. Obviously, our good friends at ETM Media Group on YouTube live stream all of the hearings. You can also watch the hearings on our website, cjec-official.org as well. Just look for that videos tab. But be there at these final hearings. I think that's the second call to action.
And be there early. You don't want to be like me, making calls
be there early.
in person. I got to laugh at my own self. But I'm just saying, be there early, people. Be there early.
And I'll say this too. Make public comment. Now, there's public comment for this hearing, as there are for all hearings. It's a little bit shorter for this one because there's some special public comment, some special testimony that's been sort of set aside for some specially selected folks to give some extra testimony. But make public comment. Talk to the two legislators who are on the task force who are going to introduce reparations legislation next year. Talk to them about what you want to see in the legislation. Talk to them about what you don't want to see in the legislation. Talk to the governor. Although the governor may or may not be there, the governor will, I'm sure, be listening and watching, and will be getting thoughts and report backs from his folks.
He hears us.
So make sure that you are saying in your public comments what you want the governor to do with the legislation. So talk to the two state legislators, and talk to the governor.
All right. Well, there you have it. That is our time with our brother, president of the Coalition for Just and Equitable California, the organizer, Chris Logson. You can follow, again, CJEC Official. Sign up at their .org in order to make sure you are getting news alerts, and you're also getting text alerts. Stay informed. Chris, as always, thank you so much for being here with us.
Pleasure's all mine.
Salute, brother.
You're the twin from another mother and father. I appreciate you so much.
Yes, brother.
Keep up the great work.
We're going to talk soon.
California Black Women's Health Project is excited to partner with the Geffen Playhouse for The Mountaintop, a play written by Katori Hall and directed by Patricia McGregor. The Mountaintop imagines what Dr. King's last night on Earth could have been. Join us for Black Partners Appreciation Night, held on Wednesday, June 14th, with a pre-show DJ from KJLH, celebrity hosts, and an open bar. 100% of ticket proceeds will go to us when you use the code TMHealth for tickets on June 14th. 50% of ticket proceeds will go to us for other dates during the run of the play. The Mountaintop will be on stage from June 6th until July 9th. Visit www.geffenplayhouse.org to get your tickets today, and remember, use code TMHealth to support California Black Women's Health Project. California Black Women's Health Project is excited to partner with the Geffen Playhouse for the Mountaintop, a play written by Katori Hall and directed by Patricia McGregor. The Mountaintop imagines what Dr. King's last night on Earth could have been. Join us for Black Partners Appreciation Night, held on Wednesday, June 14th, with a pre-show DJ from KJLH, celebrity hosts, and an open bar. 100% of ticket proceeds will go to us when you use the code TMHealth for tickets on June 14th. 50% of ticket proceeds will go to us for other dates during the run of the play. The Mountaintop will be on stage from June 6th until July 9th. Visit www.geffenplayhouse.org to get your tickets today, and remember, use code TMHealth to support California Black Women's Health Project. California Black Women's Health Project is excited to partner with the Geffen Playhouse for the Mountaintop, a play written by Katori Hall and directed.
We are the descendants of people who were enslaved here in the United States, and so we want to pay homage to our ancestors, people that were enslaved, the people who came over here on these slave ships. They survived the transatlantic slave trade. We like to say we are who we have been waiting for, because we are the strongest that survived all that has happened to us in this country. And so this poem is entitled Remember Who You Are, written by Nicole S. Brown. Woo woo! Today is a day that we will remember our ancestors who died but lived for our freedom. Today is a day that we will remember the strength, resilience, the beauty, perseverance, power, unity, and love of our ancestors. Today is a day that we will remember who we are, where we came from, and where we are going forward. Today is a day we will remember that freedom doesn't come easy, and we will continue to strive for absolute freedom. Today is the day we will remember that we do not stand alone, we are one. Today is a day we will make our ancestors proud, because we hold our heads up high and never look down. Today is a day we will remember that we breathe our ancestors' air, we see through our ancestors' eyes, and hear through our ancestors' ears. We speak as our ancestors spoke. Today is the day that we remember who we are. And so we all have these flowers here today, and this is our way of remembering our ancestors. Some of them didn't make it from the water, some of them chose to go in the water rather than suffer what was waiting here. And so we remember, if you have ancestors in your own family line that you want to remember, call your family's name, call your ancestors, and then go ahead and drop the flowers in the water.
All right, fam, we're back, and those were some powerful words from Friday Jones there, and tell the people about where you were in that moment and what you were speaking to Friday.
Yeah, so that was actually a poem written by Nicole Brown, one of our members from National Assembly of American Slavery Descendants, who is based out of Houston, Texas. That was the final day of 4 days of programming that Nationals had with Juneteenth in the Houston and Galveston area. We took Juneteenth back to ground zero.
Yeah, birthplace.
And we were there in Galveston on the island at the beach. and we were paying homage to our ancestors and calling out the names. There were, Nat Turner's name was called, but so were people's grandparents. And for some people, they called out the names of family members that they had actually lost. Yeah. And so that was a powerful ceremony, but that whole time was a powerful time.
Yeah, it was. Going back to Texas, going back to the birthplace, the Buffalo Soldiers Museum that I was able to go to with you guys. That was, I learned some history in there that I did not know.
Yeah, I didn't know the Buffalo Soldiers cleared from east to west.
They're responsible for Western expansion for the most part.
So we say we built the country, but we also did the clearing, and I didn't know that the Buffalo Soldiers were named by indigenous people.
Absolutely.
That was sort of a powerful kind of tidbit of information that came out of the tour that we had down there.
I would just say, family, if you're ever in Houston, Texas, check out the Buffalo Soldier Museum. That's worth the trip.
It is a must. Yeah. We're reparationists, and after the tour, one of the things that came up was the fact that particular space is funded by grants. The United States government does not actually have in its budget, in its military budget, and we know we spend $1 gazillion on the military budget. They are not in there. And so as reparationists, that's a small thing that we could do.
Absolutely.
In order to make sure that our history and contribution to this nation stays at the forefront. But it was very much a family and friend affair.
Wonderful. And the parade.
The parade was amazing. Exactly. And there's some pictures that we're going to post of the parade. But to all the people in the 4-4 in Acres Homes. Acres Homes.
Shout out Acres Homes.
Houston. The family in Houston was ready. They were ready for the chants. There's a picture there. They were so supportive. They said that the group was one of the most informative groups that were participating in the parade. Yeah. It really did feel like home. It was a lot of red, white, and blue. Yeah. It was a lot of love. Right. People wanted the information, and I'm so glad that we were able to take the information down
to the community.
I definitely have to shout out the National Volunteer Council on Freedmen Affairs.
Absolutely.
And Nita,
down there in Texas.
Nita Watson. She put this whole thing together. It was moved on her heart to take it all the way to Galveston into Texas. And then I got to shout out Nick Bezel, president of Elmer Geronimo Pratt Gun Club, and their treasurer, Kat. And I forget Kat's last name, but that Houston team really worked out all the logistics so that we really had a robust 4 days of programming. And the tour, you guys didn't get to do the tour, but the tour that we did in Galveston, taking it back to the actual U.S. courthouse where the emancipation was read, understanding that there were territories of emancipation, and the people don't understand that there were about 3 different emancipation proclamations. Yep. So there were steps to freedom. It wasn't like one emancipation proclamation and that was it. There were several.
Taking steps.
We still are seeing how that emancipation was actually read. The expectation that they had on the newly freed people was something to see. Reedy AME Church is kind of like ground zero to Juneteenth. There was a procession at that time from the courthouse to Reedy Church, and Reedy to this day with the Buffalo Soldiers reenact the reading of the emancipation and the procession from the courthouse to the church. That's powerful. They celebrate. We got to hang with the pastor and her husband. They gave us a wonderful tour. When you see the placards on Reedy Church, and there's this question of who is entitled to reparations, the church was built for Black slaves. Yeah. And it says it on the placard. Yeah. There is no misunderstanding of who we're talking about when we say we are the descendants. We are the descendant community. We are the people literally from the mud of this country. There's no mistaking. I encourage people, if you haven't been down to Galveston, if you haven't been down to Houston to do some of these tours, it is very important to the work that you do it. So we had a fantastic time. Yeah. That's my reflection. I would do it again 100 times because it really edified my knowledge base and my soul.
Yeah, no, shout out to the Nationals, NAASD, the organization. Shout out to the local organization. Shout out to all the grassroots activists that have been in this. And shout out to the people of Houston, Texas and Galveston who showed up, supported, learned some things. You guys were spreading some awareness. That is a beautiful thing. And you know, it is ironic because this is when this show started, right? 3 years ago.
Yeah, this is our 3-year anniversary.
This is our 3-year anniversary. We started on Juneteenth, and I think you guys got to see James Josie's museum as well.
We
right
did. We got to see. He was
Shout
our first guest.
First guest of this show.
He was the first guest of this show, and so it really was full circle for us to be, you know, in his community, touching the bricks that he made real, seeing all the different paintings on the face of the museum. And I have to shout out our production team. You know, we are here at Mars Studios, but from Dana and Tiffany that produced the show, Marcus is always making sure that we look good on screen, as does Lori.
That's
and
hard
then
work.
Crystal does everything. Crystal puts graphics together.
Yep.
She, you know, whatever kind of needs to be done, Crystal is just the master of all things, because she gets it done. So we want to thank you all. This is a team effort. It's not just Chad and I sitting up here in front of this camera. It's a team effort. And so to our team, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. 3 years strong. Let's keep on going. The work's not done yet. All right. So thank you for that Reflection Friday, and thank you for all the work that you did putting that together. It was a wonderful event.
Hey, that team, that Juneteenth steering team, shout y'all out too.
Shout out to the Juneteenth steering team, absolutely. But I think that's a great segue into our next guest. We're going to bring on Ben Haith. And Ben Haith is actually the creator of the Juneteenth flag. So we're going to talk to the source here. He is a native of Stamford, Connecticut. And Haith, as a youth, enlisted in the Army. And after serving in the armed forces, he relocated to Boston, Massachusetts, where he became involved in community work, activism, and advocacy. In the early 1970s, Haith, along with 2 other community members, Min Don Mohammed and Sadiki Kambon, kept the streets in their neighborhood safe by patrolling and organizing residents. So please welcome to Politics in Black, a living legend, Mr. Ben Haith.
Woohoo!
Mr. Haith, can you hear us, sir? Can you hear us, sir? You might be on mute. All right, we're having a little audio difficulty, but I think you can hear us. We just can't hear you yet.
Yeah, we're getting. I hear the switch over, but I'm not sure if it's the mute button on the Zoom link or what it is, but we'll get it worked out. Yeah, we'll get it worked out. I want to say, first of all, it's my second time having the pleasure of meeting you. There were a few of us from the National Assembly of American Slavery Descendants who were taking training with the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation down in Galveston in October of last year, and that's where we had the pleasure of meeting you, Mr. Haith, and hearing the history of the flag. We definitely want to share with the folks now that Juneteenth is kind of over, because I imagine you are.
I'm still flying my flag.
My flag's still up. Still outside of my house, right?
All June,
exactly. But you know, the thing with that meeting, we were in a historic location when we met. We were in a high school that has subsequently been closed, but it was the high school where Black students could go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the journey with Juneteenth, however you look at it, whenever you go to down to Galveston, if you can do training with the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation, follow them on Twitter, follow them on Facebook. They will be having a training in New Orleans this October. So October 2023. This is the team that actually helped write the Senate bill to get Juneteenth approved as a holiday. And we know that was one of the presidential asks in
the Repair Act.
In the Repair Act. And so, you know, we would like to say we urged the president in terms of messaging, but the people who really got it done were the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation. And so
that's right.
I just wanted to acknowledge them. Do we have the sound?
Mr. Haith, can you hear us?
Can you do a test for us?
Okay, we're still having some audio, some AV difficulties here.
Well.
Okay. All right. Well.
So we are going to. I just want to.
Yeah, we can go to the next guest and see if we can come back to Mr. Haith.
End it on Mr. Haith. That sounds like a plan. So Antonia Edwards, this is one of our East Coast team members, and she was down in Texas with us Antonia Edwards, originally from Boston, Massachusetts, has resided in Connecticut for the past 3 years. Antonia works as a parent, family, and community advocate. She's currently a board member for the Connecticut Development, Disabilities, and Children's Behavioral Advisory Council. Antonia is a community organizer and is a member of the Grassroots, bringing the conversation of reparations to Boston. Antonia, welcome to Politics
Get on
in
in
Black.
here, Antonia.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, everybody. Thank
Good
you.
to see you again.
She still got the red nails.
Nice to see you guys too. Let me tell you, we did our thing in Texas. Yeah, it was like 110 degrees, but yeah, we did it. I'm so proud of us.
Yeah, you guys soldiered through, and you've been soldiering through. You know, up there in Connecticut and Boston and just everywhere. I mean, you've been pounding the shoe leather, Antonia. So you know, I told you this when I saw you in person. I'm so proud and inspired by what you do, and you have gotten some huge wins. So that's why we wanted to have you here today to talk about the process, the pathway, and some of the most recent developments, because it's exciting stuff happening there in the Boston area.
Thank you. It was so funny because my Twitter name is Stilettos Always on the Ground, and my family always jokes at me. They're like, "You're always on the move. You're always gone," and it's true. I just want to say first, pay homage to my grandmother. She is the one who put the battery in my pack from a youth. She migrated with her family from South Carolina to Boston back in the late 40s, 50s. And she always wanted to make sure that I knew where I came from. Mm-hmm. So I went to school in Roxbury. I lived in Roxbury. I went to school in the suburbs. I was in a program called MECO. And I spent my summers on the plantation property that they grew up on. So I knew how to slop the hogs, feed the pigs, pick crop, shell peas, wash clothes on scrub boards, use outhouses. And so that was embedded in me. So I just want to take a moment to just pay homage to my grandmother. It's been very interesting and very rewarding to me. I think that sometimes my friends and family think I'm crazy, like I'm a sister soldier, Harriet Tubman, and I don't think they understand the passion and understand what really goes on behind the scenes politically. So for me, I just feel like I just can't sit here and allow things to happen or see things happen and not have a voice. I feel like we haven't really done anything major since civil rights. I'm saying other than what you guys have done in California, with NAASD, with the task force, with CJEC, and people are starting to kind of like wake up. But we've been in a catatonic state for like 50 something years. Yeah. And I think that that's how other people who are obstructionists have been allowed to co-opt our narrative. Yeah. So very much, saying paying homage to you guys as well too. I learned a lot from you guys. And Chris Eldred was just on. He put a battery in my pack as far as being a ground advocate. Yeah, he really did. Yeah, he really did. And I'm just amazed at his energy. So I take my passion to be on the ground from him because he trained us, years ago. Yeah. So my team is Solidarity. We originally was with the other group, and then that dissipated, and we created Solidarity in the namesake and paying homage to Dr. Sandy Darity, Duke University scholar and economist. And Jonathan Bryant, James Keat, and I founded the organization on paper 3 years ago. But we have been doing this since we all met each other, because we all known each other for like 5 years now. And we just really hit the ground educating the community on our lineage, and to make sure that they're aware that, we have an American freedman, lineage and historical context as to who we really are. Yeah. And we got that education from United Sons and Daughters. And they, with all the other groups that we collaborate with, have been a staple in our education series in the community. Yeah. So we definitely pay homage to them. Absolutely. And we lean to them quite a bit. More recently, we have lent to the knowledge and wisdom of Mr. Arthur Ward. He has been the strategist. Ward. Yeah. I'm telling you, I can pick up the phone and call him and say, Mr. Arthur, I don't get this, whatever, so forth and so on. And he has been the wind underneath my wings. I'm going to say that to you. A lot of people don't know that. There's times that I get stuck, or sometimes that things just don't make any sense, or I just need somebody to verify or validate where I'm going with stuff. Because it's hard out here. It's very hard, and especially in Boston and New York. We have a lot of opposition, and some things just don't make any sense. And so Mr. Arthur has done that. And we more recently collaborate with Gabe Piemonte as well, too, who's from Boston, who can lend knowledge as to what I know about Boston that other people may not know, and help me guide as well, too.
Collective effort.
I came home. Yeah. So a lot of people don't know. I came home back in July. My mom needed me. I came home. I'm a very family-oriented person. My family calls, I'm gone. And when I came, I was shocked at what was going on. I'm like, oh my God, who let the gate? I mean, I'm like, are you serious? Like my community was renamed from, Dudley, which was a slave owner, to Nubian. I'm like, what's a Nubian? I don't understand that. Who did that? Who let the gate up? And then things were just really changed, and things were just not really reflective of the community that I grew up in. Mm-hmm. So I started tapping into meetings. I mean, I was running around going to meetings just to get to know. And I first met with Kevin Peterson, who's with New Democracy. I also met with Aziza, who is with Reparations America Collective now. They changed the name to their organization. So we worked together to work on the ordinance for reparation in Boston. And so we did a petition to the mayor, press conferences, and we asked that the verbiage clearly define American freedmen or those who descend from slavery in the U.S. Mm-hmm. We got some of what we wanted, which was fine with me. At least we were acknowledged. So the ordinance that I sent you guys clearly states that, descendants of slavery in the U.S. And that was a win for me.
Yes.
And so as long as you acknowledge it, it does say African descendants above, but as long as we were, acknowledged, that was a step in the right direction.
Refined it, yeah.
So. Yeah, we went to the first reparation meeting for town hall the Thursday before we went to Galveston, and we got to meet the task force. I was able to get some conversation, and they really wanted to pair up and team up with us to get more knowledge on American freedmen, because you'll be surprised how many people really don't know our lineage or the verbiage or the American Freedmen Act. And so I feel warm in the sense of that I'm able to add that knowledge piece that wasn't there. And again, thank God for the United Sons and Daughter, Mr. Arthur Marlin, who have, continuously help us with this knowledge.
Yeah.
Since then, in January, the team and I recreated our proposal that we worked in 2018 that we submitted to Connecticut. And so it didn't get any traction back in 2018. So we resubmitted it this year. And then we lent that proposal to Massachusetts. So with Aziza and Saskia, with the Reparation American Collective, we then submitted it through Aziza's contact, which is Brandy Fluke Oakley. And our bill just got a name. And so that bill number was H3921. And that was a real win for me and my team, because it says American freedmen all through it. And that's what we wanted. So this bill doesn't say African slave, Black enslaved. It's clearly a bill that was written specifically for the knowledge and the information that me and our team was able to get to us. So that's the ordinance, and the highlighted paragraph at the bottom will say United U.S. descendants of slavery in the U.S., which we wanted. So that was signed by the mayor. We're working very closely with the task force, which is really good because they don't seem to have a lot of that knowledge either. And so we're grateful and honored to be able to educate them, the community, and also the politicians on American freedmen. So we were asked to do that. And I have some stuff in the back burner that I'll bring up to you guys and, sidebar information, because we will lean to you as well too. The second piece was the H3921, and that clearly says American freedmen all throughout. So we have some significant wins in Boston with regards to bills.
Yes.
And I feel grateful that I had this opportunity to be a part of that. We also have a slave exhibit that was done by the Boston Archaeology Department. They were able to uncover 700 slaves' names in Massachusetts so far. Wow. And so they're also including American freedmen in the name of that exhibit, that the knowledge for that. And we're going to be placed in a timeline in the 1770s. So that was a huge win as well, too.
So that you are a powerful sister, Antonia.
She is, and y'all can know her name. Stilettos on the ground.
Thank you
like
so much.
She does it in her heels.
Yeah, thank you. And
literally.
I want to call back because people need to understand. You started with 3 people. You're not a big organization. You didn't have a bunch of money. No. You started with 3 people that were committed to a cause and saw the same vision and went to work. And made a change, and now you have a bill moving through the legislature. So people need to understand. Can I be
honest with you?
Yes.
A lot of people don't know and didn't know. It was 3 of us. It's James, Jonathan, and myself. And since then, Shanette Drayton, she's a part of our team. She's a sister that I found. Can I just tell this story?
Oh, please do.
I ran into Shanette, and she's like, sister, I have a petition to the mayor, whatever. Shanette is in a wheelchair, and I don't say this because I don't define her by her disability. This sister was out in the fall, winter in a wheelchair trying to get somebody to sign a petition for the mayor to hear her about reparations. And I said, sister, we're going to take you off the streets. We have a petition. If you can help me behind the scenes and you can help me get this stuff done, you don't need to be on the streets in a wheelchair. I mean, my heart was just like, why is she out here? And literally talking to people in the neighborhood, trying to convince them that this was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So Shanette is near and dear to my heart because I have a lot of compassion for her tenacity. And then Saquon, he's a young brother who has his own business, always on the West Coast, not really in Boston that much, but he always lends to us. So we really have five people on our team.
I got a nephew named Saquon. Let me find out.
Yeah, Saquon is Saquon Gorman. Yeah,
that ain't the right Saquon, but I like his first name.
Yeah. and then everybody on the team works hard. I have the brothers on the team. I really don't bother them that much because they're brothers taking care of families. You know what I'm saying? I can't get them to, to meetings when I need to get them to meetings. And I don't really ask them to because they are hardworking brothers that take care of their family. So it's really me interfacing with the legislators all the time. Yeah. But we're a team. So I report back to them. They give me carte blanche to basically do what's necessary. And I really respect them because they believe in me and they give me the confidence to do what needs to be done. Well, and so I have to say, shout out to the team.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Lean and mean is sometimes best and better. And so, Antonia, one, thank you and congratulations because what you were able to accomplish, and we all have accomplished a lot in a small amount of time. You mentioned the network. It is each of us helping each other. This movement really is about, how do we learn? How do we share? How do we share what we've learned? Like that is the continuous sort of pedal and the cycle. And so thank you for actually demonstrating how it works that way, because I think sometimes people don't understand, what it takes to actually move something along. You were with a Lean and Mean team, and I think when CJEC started, it was a Lean and Mean team.
Lean and Mean.
Yes, it was.
And then the team, the more effective you are, the more folks kind of come on. And like you said, the sisters out there in a wheelchair, we as people are pragmatic. We don't have faith in our governments, right, doing what we need them to do, but we are really changing the will of people. And so thank you so much.
No problem.
Taking time
I'd like to say
be
one
here.
thing.
Yes,
so I think that when I look across the nation, because we have a whole grassroots network of organizations that's under NAASD and some that aren't, I think I'm the only person, our team is the only people that work with everybody and we acknowledge everybody. And I do that for a reason. I'm saying we're not into personality conflicts. We're not into that stuff. I really try to prove that we all need each other. Everybody's an intricate part of getting this job done. So I need this person for this, I need that person for this, and we're all gonna work together to get this done. And so I'm not taking no for an answer, and we've been able to work smoothly together to get it done. And I really appreciate each piece and each valuable part that everybody has brought to the equation to make it happen. I mean, because I couldn't have done it by myself. And everybody who has worked with us, we definitely acknowledge them. And so we have bigger fish to fry. I mean, there's so many oppositions and obstructions out there. And let me tell you, like I think I've told you guys personally, I sit right across the table from the opposition. And so I see them. It's like looking at the devil, I swear to God. And so to me, because I know you guys and I've been with everybody for 5 years, we have got to work together. So I lead by example. And so that's one of the things that I definitely say. I work with everybody.
I salute you.
Absolutely. No, you are a testimony to the power that's within our people and the power of us connecting and being on the same page and putting in that work. Because what you have done in Boston and what your group has done in Boston is nothing short of, breathtaking. I saw Gabe use that word in the chat here, and I agree.
Yes,
I agree. Given the environment that you're in and the way that you guys have committed and pushed.
Wow, it's been.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to give you your flowers here and your group.
Thank you.
Flowers.
And we have. Antonia, and I'm so sorry. I hate to cut you off, but we had some technical difficulties. We're trying to get one more guest back in here.
Sure, get on. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for listening, and thank you for your input. I really appreciate it.
We're connected, Antonia. So
we're gonna have to have you come back because I know, like, getting your bill through it again. That's just one phase, and so we'll get to the next phase. And thanks for being here.
Sure,
absolutely. All right, sister.
Thank you.
You keep on working.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye. All right, so we're gonna go right into Ben Haith.
We gonna hope the technology is worked out.
Do we have Brother Haith? Let's see. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Maybe not.
If we can't get the technology worked out, we're absolutely gonna have Mr. Haith back with us.
Absolutely.
I can hear the.
Oh, okay.
We got something.
There you are, brother.
We got some action.
I think we can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Ooh, but it's choppy.
I can hear both of you.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, brother. Well, welcome to Politics in Black, Mr. Hayes. It's a pleasure to have you here. This is our third year in broadcasting, and we started on Juneteenth to pay homage to our ancestors and to kick off this show where we're trying to bring information and ultimately push this reparations needle across the finish line. So we wanted to have you here in a reflection as we talk about Juneteenth, because you are the man, you created the flag. We wanted to have you here to talk to us not only and tell us how that inspiration came around and what led to that creation, but then also about that flag, about the holiday, what it means to you. And I know that's a lot.
So he's also an affiliate for the National Juneteenth Observant Foundation.
Absolutely.
So we'd like to hear
we should
some
recognize
of that
as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to open up the floor, Mr. Hayes. Please, the mic is yours.
Are you talking about this flag?
Yes, we are, brother. Yes, we are. That's the only one that we recognize.
Well, I appreciate it. A lot of people have taken to this flag, and to me, it's been amazing. I believe it's a work of God that helped me bring about this design for people to recognize as a part, to connect it to a part of the important part of their history.
Yes.
How do you feel about some people wanting to sort of change the meaning of what Juneteenth is? Can you tell us what the meaning is for you and what you think about people changing the meaning?
All right, I have some grandchildren.
Oh, that's fine. We love the kids here. That's fine.
All right, they just left the room.
Okay.
For me, it's been a learning experience, and I believe it's ongoing. I believe that's the case with many people, particularly descendants of African Americans with African ancestry, and so much is to be learned, so much information and about our ancestors have been kept from us. It's been suppressed, and it continues to be suppressed. And I believe we're at a crossroads in our country. We've been at crossroads before.
Yes.
I've come to believe, I've lived long enough to believe that our country has to come to grips with the real history of this country, which includes all people and what their history is, and recognize it as truth.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that, brother, because I think that's a big part of what you have done in creating this flag is a recognition of our unique identity and a celebration, a commemoration of our history. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what's on the flag, because there's a lot of symbolism. There's a lot of things happening on that flag that I'm not sure like the average person, the average Black American walking around understands, the average freedman. So could you talk to us about the Lone Star in the middle and the starburst and the horizon? And lastly, I want to end on the color scheme, because I think that's very important as well.
Well, I'll start with the star, as you asked for. The meaning of that star actually came from me watching a show on public broadcasting system, PBS. The show a lot of people know about it's called Nova. So I said, for years I've been watching Nova. I'm going to find out what Nova means. And I found out it means it's a new star, a star that is creating new energy.
Yes.
And moving forward. And I thought that was a symbol that could reflect the people that have emerged from our country and under difficult, in many instances, abusive conditions, And the star is Nova, bursting forward, rising up from the red color, which you see is curved as representing a horizon.
Yes.
So the stars rising to the heavens in the blue, to the universe, which we all are a part of, all humanity. And as it turns out, we are members and citizens of all the states in the United States. So this one star represents all the states that our people live in. We have history in, and the star also represents the state of Texas, where Juneteenth began in 1865 on June 19th.
Yes. And here's one of the things that I absolutely love about the flag, Mr. Hayth, is red, white, and blue. And that was an intentional choice. That was an intentional choice that you made, red, white, and blue. Talk to us about that choice and why the flag is red, white, and blue.
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I kind of overlooked it. When I was trying to create a design, I consulted with a number of artists in my community in Boston. They were all African Americans. And it took a while, and I decided to put an ad in the newspaper, and I forgot that I put the ad in the newspaper. And one day I'm working downtown at the Center for Homeless Veterans, and someone calls me, and it's a woman named Lisa Jean Graft. She was, still is a graphic artist, a professional. And she said she would like to talk to me about trying to help me with the design. So we met downtown. I'll never forget it, at one of those franchise stores. And we talked, and I told her about the star and Nova, and the red, white, and blue came about. I keep moving around what the colors mean. After talking to so many people about what the flag should look like, I realized how much our ancestors and how much we put into this country,
into America, absolutely,
from the very beginning. So everything that has come out has been a result of our people working and investing in this country. We were forced to in labor, but the labor was an investment to make this country what it is today.
Yeah. Yes.
So the red, white, and blue does represent the red, white, blue that all citizens recognize in this country.
Yeah.
So we're saying we're included, even though
we are American.
You've excluded us for years. So, and we know that people who are not of African descent recognize that we are citizens, and we will and must be included in the future of this country.
Yes, I absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Hayth, because that's what I thought. I thought that the color scheme of red, white, and blue was to make sure that folks understood that who we're talking about, we're uniquely Americans. And this is speaking to a unique American experience. And so I want to get your thoughts here real quick, because I think Friday was touching on this earlier. I see a lot of Juneteenth marketing, a lot of Juneteenth, flyers and things going out that don't use red, white, and blue. And so I'd just like to get your thoughts on the importance of using the red, white. Like, do you feel that that's the proper, like, we should be red, white, and blue flag everywhere we go on Juneteenth?
And let me just say that, because the other part of that is it's the Marcus Garvey colors that we see a lot.
Yeah, the RBG.
The red, black, and green flag. Yeah. There's also Melvin Charles, who he made a flag, but not for Juneteenth. Yeah, your flag is very specific. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of where Chad is going with his question.
Yes. Thank you.
That's true, Dana. And I want to add to that, and that is, I had experiences working in marketing and advertising agencies in New York City, and I believe it's helped me to not only help bring about the design for this flag, but also to understand how the complexities of our country, the many different races, the various cultures, and so on. And then we find these differences in 50 different states. And then in many cases, to me, the states sometimes feel like different countries. Mm-hmm. They have their own governors, the mayors, and different elected officials.
And their own climates, being in Houston. And their own climates.
Yeah, Houston was...
But go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Hayes.
So when I see different flags or different anything, I realize it emanates from the culture we have in people bringing forth their ideas and thoughts.
Yeah.
And this belongs to what can be described as free expression. And so people have to make choices on what they want, just like going to the store. What products do they want out of all the different brands?
Yep.
So that's helped me with the design of the flag and to understand what is going on in this country.
All right, Mr.
That's
Hayes.
a personal choice.
Yeah,
thank you for that.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you for creating this flag that we all can rally around on June 19th. It
gives us pride.
Each year, it gives us pride. Like I said, I still have mine flying outside of my house.
So do I.
It's going to be there until after the reparations hearing next week.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, sir, for being here, and thank you for your work.
I want to say God bless politics. God bless politics and Black and everyone in the state of California.
Thank you so much for that. And thank you for your work with the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation. It was our pleasure meeting you last October, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
All right. So are we...
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. I think we just have a few minutes here to close.
Yeah. So look, summer is here.
Summer is here.
Politics and Black is not going anywhere. To Miss Felicia, to the Poetess, to Mara Studios, thank you so much for standing by us and allowing us to bring this work into your space. We couldn't do it without you. We will be back with the show next month, I believe. We may have some new news for y'all. We thought we had some news. We may have some new news, but you got to stay tuned to find out. I am Friday Jones.
I am Chad Brown. But before we leave, I just got to recognize the assassination date of one of my heroes, Medgar Evers, June 12th, 1963. A lot of things happened in June. That's one thing I just want to recognize before we get out of here. And with that, fam, I'll see you next time. Our issues, our voices, our views. This is Politics